So ownership of time, Kelly, you're asking me if I had an idea of what that meant when you brought it up as a potential topic. Yes, vaguely, but I think maybe it piques my interest because you said the word time. And in my non-monogamous experiences, I think that has been one, like that's something I can relate to. Time and uh the how, I mean, just in and of itself, in our own relationship, me and Wayne, like how we experience time differently, first of all.
Yeah.
How we utilize our time is completely different, how we prioritize it and whatnot. And then similarly, once you did kind of mention it, I was like, yeah, that resonates with how we decide to and support ourselves and our partners and how we use our time when we're non-monogamous. So yeah, I did kind of have an idea, but it was more like, ooh, time. That's a thing. That's a thing that I love to talk about in general.
Well, it's interesting. Mo, I'll plug your book. I said, Mo's got this book that love is not a pie. I said, time is though. Time, there's a
Mm-hmm.
finite amount of time and you do with what you want. But I don't think that the people are having issues with it. I don't think it really is so much about the time. It's about everything that's going into what's happening at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Because the same partner wouldn't have a problem if he said, okay, well, I'm gonna go camping with my dad then. It's because of specifically where
Yes.
the energy. And I've even kind of been doing almost like time energy budgets with people these days. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like when you're scheduling that time, you may want to think about, using kitty cat, using thinking about like the energy and effort that what's budgeted for that as well within that time. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to talk about something.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I feel like I did a many years ago a workshop at the Liberace Penthouse, Kelly, and I think you were there. And it was about non-monogamy. And there were these people there that couldn't wrap their head around it. They're like, where in the world do you find the time? Like that is where the conversation went. But I think today's topic is actually a little bit more interesting than that. I think our podcast has definitely like it feels like it's for we're trying to be inclusive of everybody, but it's definitely for people that are more seasoned with non-monogamy. So I don't know, you described this topic really well, Kelly. So do you want to introduce it?
Oh, I already forgot which one we're doing.
So it's still time, but like I guess
Oh,
your
oh,
your
ownership of
experience
time.
of it, ownership, yeah.
Ownership of time. Okay, so that's the idea that when you aren't with your partner, that you still have say in what you're doing with that time. And if it is going towards another partner, that can be much more threatening, I guess, or a perceived threat than if they're spending it with, a friend or a family member or something. But I've talked really clearly with them that it's not about the time, it's about the energy and what's behind it. And one of them had an argument, well, if you, when you're focused just on us, we're doing a lot better, don't focus on that. I'm like, well, no, because they could say the same thing. You focus on us and it'll be fine, but you actually do have someone else in your life, and you can't.
You're specifically talking about monopoly situation.
Well, I mean, yes, I am, but I think that it could go to any. I don't think it has to be monopoly, but
Yeah.
yes, the
Yeah.
I think
two,
it definitely applies to all the dynamics. I mean,
yeah,
even if everyone is poly or non-monogamous, because we know, I don't know about you guys, but we've experienced of like somebody having like a really great season and there's a lot going on in their lives, and then the other person is like, there's not a whole lot going on in my life. And so, I know that that has been a sensitive time that feels threatening when your partner has stuff going on and you don't, or
yeah,
just the whole simple of like not you're yeah, you're dating, you have different schedules or whatever, different availabilities, different schedules, different things going on. So
Yeah.
I mean, technically, this could be for anybody. I mean, it could be for monogamous couples. Like it's
Yeah. It's how do you spend your time when you're apart?
yeah,
And it sounds a little bit like, for me, when I heard the topic, I was like, well, that is discussed in your agreements conversation, right? Like how when you discuss with your partner, like how often you can see your other partner. And this is for primary people with primary partners, but it can also be people that are in non-hierarchical situations too, because feelings come up, right? Like you have an attachment with a partner and you are busy tonight and you get wind that your partner is going out with someone else, whereas, you know, maybe it was supposed to be your night and then you had got called into work. And so now you're like, don't get to do something fun and you find out, oh, well, your partner ended up going and seeing their other partner when it was supposed to be your night to begin with, or something like that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
ownership.
Yeah. What came up for me was like, because I experienced it, and yeah, I remember I went through the kind of experience of it, as well as kind of just working with some clients who have experienced as well. It came up for me like, for instance, like if I'm engaging with somebody, then it's okay what you're doing, right? If you're engaging with somebody, but if I'm not engaging with somebody, now I'm asking you, hey, what are you doing? You know, you go to the bathroom, asking you, you know, hey, why are you in there for so long? Are you texting? You know, every opportunity you get, you know, you're trying to get to your phone. It's probably because in those moments, what I'm doing is I'm trying to occupy your time, so you don't have the time to engage outside of me engaging, because I don't feel good if you're engaging and I'm not. You know, that's what kind of came into me about just kind of like trying to monopolize the time when I'm not doing something or engaging. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Trying to police the other person's time or control it to make sure they don't have the time to like
Oh
engage with
yeah.
the person.
Yeah, create obstacles. Hey, are you cooking tonight? Hey, why don't you go help me do this? You know, just so many things you can put in place to take away their time so they can't engage with somebody else.
Oh, and having kids is a big
it's
one.
a big time suck.
The easy way to like do this whole manipulation of time ownership and
Yes.
like, oh, we got responsibilities.
Yes.
You got to do this tonight.
Yeah.
Well, look, we're all mental healthcare professionals, so let's talk about what is beneath all that. And I think it kind of stems from jealousy, but I think more than that is the perceived threat that you're going to be replaced, right? And so,
Mhm.
what do you do to fight that perceived threat? And do you come at it from a really self-aware place where you actually talk about it and try to deal with it, or do you come at it from a place of, well, I'm just going to control it, and I'm going to say that, oh, you got to take care of the kids, or I'm going to say that whatever. And so, I think I don't know. That's what I think it comes from. I think it comes from a perceived threat, whether it be real or not, and then trying to protect yourself from that. What do y'all think the deeper piece
I
is?
think that's a big part of it. I also think that you could be, I don't want to be alone tonight. We had a really great weekend and
Mhm.
I don't feel like sharing you tonight. It feels too soon. It might not be a threat. It could be sadness, loneliness.
Mhm.
Envy.
You
It
know,
could be envy too, is a big one. It's like, I want to do that, or I'm not doing that, or I can't do that, or I don't get to do that. It's like, it's hard to see you do that.
yeah, I got to go to work and you're going to go have a good time or, you know, um, so FOMO, it's like
Yeah.
FOMO.
So that's why I love that you bring that up, Kelly, because, and I'm so grateful that you're bringing this up, and I'm so grateful that you're kind of using it outside of your sessions and kind of exposing the rest of the world to this idea of like, yes, let's talk about time and let's talk about time ownership, but like also let's go a little bit deeper. I think this is the value of kind of coming from having us as therapists. We like to go deep. We like to kind of find the underlining. And I think that's such a great, just that alone, the question of, is this really about time? How can we check in with ourselves and notice if this is really a time situation or if there's something else that needs to be talked about. And I think just the acknowledgement alone can be helpful. But then it also can just broaden the hard conversation, instead of just being focused on like trying to find these work these agreements that it's like agreements are great, but if we're not getting to the intentions behind the agreement or the core, or like what's kind of happening for us on an emotional level, we're just making agreements, and sometimes we'll make agreements that we really don't want to be making.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what do y'all think about this idea of, because I'm still kind of playing around with it too, but this idea of almost like an energy budget, like an energy intention of, okay, is it really about the time, or is there something about what you're giving that other person or what they're taking from me, you know, because I think when people are giving their time, their energy, and their effort to another person, they feel like it's being taken from them.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. What comes up for me when you say that, I think about when a couple is at home, right? And they're spending their time at home. Uh, Most likely when they're at home, they're probably either in two different spaces. They're or sitting beside each other on the phone, or they're watching the movie. They're not really interacting. But as soon as something else comes up or somebody else comes, now we want to interact and we want to do all the things together. And I need you for this and that. And it's so crazy. So when you say that, yeah, I think that if we can, as long as all the responsibilities are taken care of, the shared responsibilities between us, in that, I understand it. Probably in the beginning, we'll say, hey, let's kind of dedicate this allotted amount of time per week for each of us to go have our thing. I think that when we're able to feel safe and settled, I think that it can be looser. I think that we can, but I understand it takes some time to get there. But it just makes me think like why do we? I know why, but it's just like why do we all of a sudden now want this time that we didn't utilize before, and now we want it.
No,
Yeah.
like when people only get together for weddings or funerals, it's like, why does something so drastic have to happen for us to actually put the energy towards it and think that it was important enough to do that, you know?
Ooh, yeah. And even with that said, if it's that important, then let's make intentional time for ourselves. Let's set intentional time aside for us. If it's that important that I'm feeling like this, then let's set intentional time.
I like
And if we can't do that, if we can't do that, then obviously there's something underneath that, right? There's something else. If that's not negotiable, if that's not open to discussion.
Mm.
Were you gonna say something,
Oh yeah, I
Melissa?
was just gonna say, yeah, I like that, Wayne, because it gives us an opportunity for where to put the energy, like you said, Kelly, using the energy budget, like where to direct the energy, or where maybe there's attention needed from the energy versus like where not to. The focus is on the connection between us versus like don't connect over there. Or, I don't want you connecting over there. It's more like I want, how can we continue to connect or have more connection or whatnot. So
Yeah.
I like that focus.
I think the FOMO part might also be that, like the jealousy, the insecurity, the envy, like, oh, you're gonna go and have this unique time with this person that you don't see very often. Yet we don't do that. We live together, we spend more time together, but our time is doing more parallel things, right? Or taking care of the household things. It's that feeling of, especially if it's a partner they don't see very often, like that's quality time. And we can pick up on that
Yeah.
as well. And I think that would certainly play into the threat and FOMO and all of
Yeah.
that.
I sort of had an epiphany the other day, and I explained this to Melissa, and I don't know how it's gonna come out, so I'm gonna try and see what comes out in it. The other day, to your point about, we see our partner going to go spend time with the other person, they're going to have this unique experience. It's going to be so much better, and it made me think of, well, the other day I thought about like how Disney movies are, they're happily ever after, and how Hallmark is loving, very loving thing. And I think that we don't give enough credit to our own experiences, because we all strive to these happy ever after endings, but in actuality, it's not the entirety of the relationship. It's just um parts of the relationship, like just think of it as bubbles, right? There's these moments, right? There's these moments in a relationship that are so amazing and so dope, and we don't give credit to those because we have those all the time. We don't, and they're not lasting, but they're just moments that we have, and what we ultimately want to do is string those moments together, throughout our relationship. And so when we look at our partner going to have this moment with somebody else, we've had those moments. We had plenty of those moments already, but we fear like it's going to be so much different or better. It's just a moment. It's literally a moment that they're sharing, and they're gonna come back and you're gonna get this, you're gonna share more moments together.
And it's going to be different, right? It's going to be different based on how long you've known each other, based on your shared history and experience and type of lifestyle you have together. Like it's going to be different. But I think kind of what you're talking about, Wayne, is like gratitude lists, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like let's sit down and make a gratitude list of all the great things that we have together.
Yeah, I think that's, again, something so simple that we can do together that a lot of people don't think about. Gratitude list. That's amazing.
Yeah. Name 3 things that you are happy about today that you got to do together, that type of thing.
Yes.
I think too, maybe kind of doing a little check-in on, is there, aside from me, spending time with other people or my partners, is there something that, are there other things that are keeping us from having time together and connecting, so that maybe we can address those things, because I think that is important. If there are other ways that we can support ourselves and our connection and our time, let's do that, because maybe there are, and somehow we think that, well, we should just focus on like having less time over here with these people versus like looking into, Kelly mentioned the time budget or whatnot, like looking into other areas in our lives that maybe there's energy leaks or time leaks or something like that, you know what I'm saying, where we don't think about that. It's like we can spend a lot of time, I don't know, whatever, doing something wherever we could be spending time here, but we're kind of in this, especially for long-term relationships or whatnot, maybe there's parts in our lives where there's just kind of this monotony happening, or there's just like these what do you call them,
Lulls.
or happening, or lulls, or yeah, and it kind of has become a norm in our life or whatnot, but we don't recognize that could be more time, like that could be an opportunity for more time with us if kind of address those.
But back to the fact that no one teaches how to be in long-term relationships. We only know how to experience all the new relationship energy, and when it's not that anymore, it's like, oh, guess we don't love them, or guess we're not in love anymore, like gotta go find it somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that is what happens a lot of times, and working with our clients, like reminding them what a long-term relationship is really about, right? That there are lulls, and actually I think a lot of the beauty is in the lulls, right? You're not having those lulls with a new partner that you don't live with, or a new partner that you only see once a week, or a partner that lives out of state or something like that. Like you don't get those moments that are just you sitting on the couch together, even though you're doing it parallel, and that's actually really beautiful, right?
Such a great point.
Yeah, like that's what, I remember this one time I was doing laundry with someone, and like she was like, but isn't that what it's all about, doing laundry with your partner? And I was like, oh, I guess that is kind of what it's all about, right?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it speaks to the level of comfort, and and trust, and just shared experiences, and the ability to just be able to be yourself and show up in that moment that you would not do with somebody who you only see every so often or whatever, because you're going to show up as your best self, and or try to, at least, and so yes, that's a great point.
Yeah, the partnership
Yeah.
part.
Excitement isn't everything.
It is not, and I think that people, and we know people who seek the excitement, and we see them go from relationship to relationship, and never really finding happiness, because they're searching for this thing that's not going to happen for them, because they're constantly searching for it, the fix.
I'm 52 years old, and excitement is exhausting. That's all I know at this point. I'm like, I don't know if I could take any more excitement.
So funny. Yeah, I just said that. I said, like, man, this is enough. Like, I'm good. Like Like I don't think I can do more than this. Like I'm feeling like pretty full.
Yeah, it changes throughout life. So it, your need for those types of things certainly ebbs and flows. Just
Oh
like,
yeah.
just like being in non-monogamous versus monogamous, there's an ebb and flow, there's an ebb and flow and so many things.
Yes.
So Kelly, did you all kind of get to any practical, I know we're talking a lot like conceptually and theoretically and stuff, or philosophically, any like practical, um, I don't know, any practical ideas that came out of?
Not really yet. We just kind of started exploring the topic. So no, I can get back to you on that though, but
Yeah, the
Mhm.
time budget, I guess you were starting to talk about that.
yeah, but I'm kind of doing that with a few other people just in general. Some of them not even, some of them just with individual clients that just feel a little all over the place. And
Mhm.
I've noticed it in session. I'm like, hold on, how much time do we need to allot to these things? What's going on? I'm like, oh, that's maybe a concept that can be used
Yeah.
pervasively through life.
Yeah. Would you have some concepts or some tools for them to use to help them?
I don't know. I always, when I don't know what to do, I always kind of bring it back to values work. And like,
Hmm.
what is it that you value? What is it about your time, your alone time, like what are your values and how do we have you operating from your place of values? And so I think that would be much more specific to each individual and to the relationship. But I pretty much
I
anytime,
love that. I
yeah,
love that.
anytime I don't know what to do, I'm like, all right, well, let's get you situated in your values and
Mhm.
how would you operate then?
I need to utilize that more. I need to go to that. Yes, I need to add that to my tool chest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to, oh, go ahead, Kelly, sorry.
I could go more into that, but it's not really on topic. So,
Oh, I was gonna say, well, I'd like to highlight something that I said that I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. I want to get back to that. I think because it kind of feels relevant to my life right now, and that was talking about kind of similar to what you said about values, getting back to values, in specific to time, maybe have talking about and exploring our experiences of time, like
hmm.
how we each experience time. Because I think there's this assumption that we all experience time the same and very similarly. And I know for a fact that that is not the case, like with me and Wayne. And that has been one of our biggest, one thing that, we're like, oh, we had to learn how to work together on that. Um, I have like my concept of time is there's none. Or this is like it's everywhere. It's all over the place. So, and Wayne is pretty linear, pretty good, like very aware of time, he can measure it well, all of this stuff, like not me. And so I think that can be really helpful too, to kind of give some insight to that, maybe should I say that can maybe help to ease any of the threat or the anxiety, any perceived threats that people might be feeling with each other, because they can have some insight and some understanding to how their partner is trying to manage the time or trying to experience the time or whatnot. So and again, particularly I think this applies a lot to the conversation of like non-monogamy, love, and neurodivergence, and that's something that I've kind of really been looking into myself and working with a lot of clients who have ADHD and whatnot, and then just their experience of time and energy and what that's like, and that's been a conversation between the couples that I work with. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
time
like it.
management is a thing, right? And if you manage your time differently than your partner does, it's going to have impact on.
Yeah. But I almost feel like in this situation, time is a misnomer, and I think that's what I've come to grips with working with these clients is that they're using the word time because that's how it's manifesting. But that's like, no, we're going deeper. This is not about the actual time.
Yeah.
This is about the perceived threat. This is about the whatever. And so,
Yes.
but what you bring up, yes, is it's great. It's great for me to remember just for the different people that I work with. But yeah, you know, that will be worth bringing up, but I think.
Mm-hmm. And if
Yeah.
not for, you know, talking about how the time is being used with other people, maybe at least it could be helpful to how their time, again, you know, how their time within themselves, between themselves, like how that is being experienced as well too. So
Yeah.
time
Is it,
session.
is it possible for you to give us an example?
Me?
Mm-hmm. Melissa?
Oh. Yes, I can try. Let's see, I have a client, and actually I experienced this myself too, I think, where we kind of feel like there's never enough time. This is just our own experience for ourselves. Like we never have enough time. And there are things that we want to do with our time and in our day. And sometimes when those things don't happen, it almost feels like we're just a little off. We're just a little off, or the day is a little off, or whatnot. And so it's always kind of, it could be like in the back of my head, in my mind, of like, oh, I want to, you know, do this thing, and I could maybe get even a little bit rigid about it or whatnot, you know. And so there's just always this experience of and back and forth with time throughout my day. And a lot of times I have like, okay, well, how am I going to give my time to everybody else? The kids, you know, Wayne, clients, the work, whatever. And then I kind of like get the time towards the end of the day, you know what I mean? Then a lot of time, or I'm so tired or whatnot. And so, but then also, oddly, I could be tired, I could be burned out, or I can do all these things and I'm complaining or whatever, like, oh, I don't got time, I don't got time. But then somebody who I'm interested in or who I like might hit me up and be like, hey, can you hang out? Are you available? And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to go do that. And Wayne was like, yo, what's up? I thought you were just complaining that you don't have time and you're busy and all this stuff, but you want to go hang out with this person. And I'm like, at first I used to be like, oh my gosh, I know, I'm sorry. I felt so bad and guilty and all this stuff. And then I was like, no, well, wait a minute, hold on. Yes, I do, because that is how I do want to spend my time.
Yes.
You know, like, yeah, who doesn't want to go spend time with somebody that they want to go spend time with?
And that might inspire you and rejuvenate you to get the things done, right? Like maybe you do need that burst of inspiration. We need pleasure and fun in our life and joy in our life to get the things done. That's just kind of
absolutely
goes. It's possible that you're losing steam because everything is a task, right?
Exactly. Also, what it did help me to recognize, kind of what you were saying, similar to what you and Wayne were talking about, like this gratitude and recognizing what we do already have. You know, I do think it did kind of help me to recognize, yeah, like how I was experiencing my time throughout the day, you know, that I was complaining about it. And also, yes, I think there were things to kind of notice, you know, for myself, and how I spend my time throughout the day, even if it is, like you said, Mo, of like recognizing that it's a task and it's been for well, you know what? And instead of complaining about that, like I get to change that. I get to do something about that, you know what I mean? And not have resentment towards my partner for something that I can do something about and I can change, you know, and really kind of comes from me. Nobody, you know, like a lot of time that's self-induced. That's kind of like I make that happen. I'm like, I create the task, or I feel like I need to give my time to everybody and all, you know. So that's something for me to kind of reflect on and look at.
Yeah.
I think we went on a little tangent, but yeah.
But I like it. It's like a lot of our expectations for ourselves are self-imposed. And then the things that we complain about are also self-imposed, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Mhm. Kelly, you said something earlier about, you know, just figuring out the root of the issue. I love that. I love trying to figure out the root, because we would sit with the symptoms forever, right? We would just be keep one to pop up after the other, and we stuck. Now we're stuck And so, yeah, I love that, going into the root of the issue.
Yeah, it's kind of like the why. Like, why are you upset about the time is what Kelly's asking them. Like, what is it really about? And the why of like, or the what are you doing? Right? What are you doing? Why are you in, what do you want to get out of non-monogamy? And kind of going, it feels like that's a great place. Like, I don't know if that's what she means by values work. I don't know if that's what you mean, Kelly, by values work, but I think that that's what came up for me, like going back to well, what are we doing here? Right? What is the purpose of this? And what is the purpose of these limitations on time?
Yeah.
I also
Yeah.
don't know, I also don't know what her interpretation of the values work is, but I think for me, what has been helpful and something my therapist really helped me to see this and get to was what you're saying, Mo, is like let's get to the core of what is happening. Like, let's check in, let's take a pause, like take a moment really quick to kind of slow things down, check in with each other, and really kind of notice or connect with what the core themes here, what the core issues really are here, you know what I mean, and what that means to us, and like what that means to how those things are important to us, so that's kind of how I see the values work. And again, it's maybe not about time, but it's about our connection together, and that's kind of at the root or the core of what this is really about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We were just talking about, Kelly, what you mean by values work. We were trying to interpret it, because I said I wasn't clear what that actually looks like.
Well, I come from a narrative background. And so I pretty early on, once they tell me what they're coming for, like we'll talk about sort of the person they are now and what's not working for them, and name that one thing, and then have a conversation around their preferred way of showing up and what values they want to bring into that and what they want to hold true. And we really create these two different people. And so when you get to a stuckness or don't know what to do, it's like, okay, if you have the agency, if you understand, I mean, when things are happening in real time, you're having knee-jerk reactions, this is a little bit harder. But when you're at a crossroads and you're trying to figure out what to do, it's like, okay, is the next step you're going to take? Is it going to take you towards the stuck person, the person who came with the problems, or is it going to take you in the direction of your preferred way of being that we sort of created? And so depending on what they're coming for, they have different things. Like, I really value connection, or I really value family, or I really value, if they're coming for anxiety, I really value peacefulness and calmness, and what was modeled for them as they were kids, and what parts they think that they're bringing with them, and what parts they feel like they truly believe. I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of going too far into it, but yeah, I feel like it's easier for people to talk about what values are being offended or threatened than it is for them to talk about it. So it's kind of one of those, you sort of have to reverse engineer it, like what's wrong and what's being offended or hurt or you're not doing, to then sort of create this idea of what they're valuing for this particular issue or this particular topic. And it can be much more like broad strokes of just who they are as a person, or it can be you can kind of zoom out and do broad strokes. You can zoom in and make it very specific to the acute issue that they're coming for. So does that answer it a little bit?
Yeah.
I would love to hear an update and to see how that kind of conversation about, is this really about time? What else could this really be about? How that might help.
Yeah, funnily enough, both of those conversations happened today.
Oh.
And they came, and when things like that happen, like, did I add to the text, or is that what's happening? And they both really came with that. I was like, interesting. And they're the only two mono poly couples I'm working with. So
Yeah, I think monopoly is a whole episode. I've had several monopoly couples, and I think sometimes it happens just like I can't remember, Melissa or Wayne, one of you were saying like just because tables turn in relationships. It was you, Melissa, you were saying like sometimes you're in a lull while your partner's going out and having all this excitement, and then even if you're both poly or non-monogamous, like you can have moments that feel monopoly,
But
right?
I think that's totally different though, Mo. Yes, you're correct. And there's just a different way of thinking. There's a different way of interpreting things. There's a different lens. There's a different filter. And so I think it is an added complexity when one person truly is innately monogamous and wants to operate monogamously and the other one truly isn't. So
Yeah.
I think it's two different beasts, really. But yes, there are definitely laws that just kind of happen naturally.
Yeah. Or, I mean, even if someone is monogamous, maybe not by choice, right? Like, because of a physical disability or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
or where they live, remote, things like that. Or immune compromised. I had a client that was immunocompromised, so couldn't go out and have multiple partners, but their partner could. So,
Yeah.
all right.
It's a great topic. Thanks for bringing it up, Kelly. Again, I feel like you've been bringing up our topics lately. So
yes, it's a good one.
You can thank my clients.
I actually just picked up a client who's monopoly, so this is a great topic to bring up to them. So this is great. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, good talk today. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, y'all.
Yes, thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.